Welcome to Papa's Workshop. In today's video, we're going to be taking the 20-watt diode laser and engraving on glass. That's right. This is what we're going to be engraving today, and I hope you can see that in the camera. But that is just amazing. There's a lot of detail in that, and it's a very, very simple process. I think too many times people overcomplicate the process. Today I want to break it down for you and show you in detail exactly how you can do it so that you can be successful in your shop. So let's get started. The glass that I'm using is a 4" by 6", and it came out of some old picture frames that I had. Now these have been sitting around in the shop for quite a while, and there's just a lot of dust on them. So the first thing in the cleaning process, I'm just using some Windex to be able to clean off just the bulk of the dirt and dust and get them basically clean. Once that is done, then I'll move over to the next step. I want to make sure that there's no grease or oils of any kind, so I'm going to use the denatured alcohol and clean the glass again and make sure that it is literally spotless on both sides. Now this denatured alcohol dries very quickly, so I will be able to clean both of my pieces of glass. Now the idea behind this is I'm going to have one piece of glass as my baseline, and I'm going to use spray paint for that one. And I want to see how the paint dries and literally the color of it and how smooth it is. The one that we're actually going to be engraving, I'm going to be using tempera paint. And with the tempera paint, I'm going to try just rolling it on with a foam roller. And that'll be the first test. Now the tempera paint that I'm going to use is just some paint that I've had in the cabinet for a while. And this is nothing special. The spray paint is the Rust-Oleum flat black primer that I will use. And we'll engrave this one later. And all I'm going to do is just put it down on the board, and then I'm just going to lightly spray it, and you want a nice even coat. And this technique is used an awful lot throughout the YouTube videos, and it's just make sure that you get an even coat. Now the one that I really want to test is using tempera paint. Now a lot of times people will thin this out, they'll put it in airbrushes and really complicate the process. I'm not doing that. I'm taking my clean glass, I'm making sure that it's dry, it's spotless, that there's no dust on it, and I'm taking the tempera paint, and again, there's nothing special. I happened to buy this actually quite some time ago and just hadn't used it. So this is the full strength, not diluted. I'm just putting this down directly onto the glass, and then I'm going to take a foam roller and roll this out. So that way it'll be a nice, even, smooth coat, and then I'm going to let it dry. And we'll compare how smooth this one is compared to the one where we used the spray can. So the spray is my baseline to be able to see if we can duplicate that process with the tempera paint. So here's the first result. With just a foam roller, this is not good. You can see through it, it's not fully covered, and I am not going to attempt to engrave this. So now I'm going to take the same tempera paint again, and this time I'm just going to use a foam brush, and I'm going to use basically the same process. I'm just going to spread out some of the tempera paint right onto the glass with a foam brush, then I'm going to spread it out. And I'm going to get this as even as I possibly can. Right away, you notice a lot of brush strokes. I'm going to get this as even as I possibly can by coming back with this very light stroke to be able to try to smooth out those brush strokes. And that is really about as good as I can get it. Right now, it does not look good. So let's see what happens once this completely dries. The two samples now are completely dry. And this first one, this is the tempera paint. And you can look at that, and you can actually see a couple of brush lines in there. So we're going to see if that affects the engraving at all. And then this second one is from the spray can where I sprayed it black. Look, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see this in the camera or not, but if I really had to pick one that was darker or lighter, I would have to say that the tempera paint is slightly darker. But for the most part, the texture, as far as being perfectly smooth, looks very good. So I've got the sample ready. It's smooth, it's dry, and it's nice and black. So now let's get light burn going. And I want to be able to just pull in a project that I had designed for this. And it's going to be a compass rose. I picked this simply because it had a lot of detail. Very fine lines, very small. It has both some large text as well as some very small text. I typed in the word "find your way" just to be able to have a larger text. I want to be able to have a good overall idea of how well this is going to engrave. Now this is still small. It's about almost 4 inches by roughly 2 inches. And on a piece of glass that's 4 inches by 6 inches, that'll be fine. The speed. Everybody needs to know the speed. This is going to be done at 30 inches per minute with 60% power, and that's a lot lower power than most people use that I have seen. I do have the air assist. I am using the overscanning for 2.5%. Lines per inch, about 253. Now one mistake that I made, I forgot to set there, we're just going to hit OK. So instead of being 30 millimeters all the settings that I'm using. About now this is a Fox Alien riser, and 20-watt laser, even engraved through the paint. I typically use the center point for my origin. Same engraving. So I'm going ahead and framing this so I know exactly where this is going to engrave. Remove the paint, because I did not change that origin point. With the 30 inches per minute, I know that it's going to engrave 60% power. I want it to. You really don't need any more. Now I'm going to go ahead and take this over to the sink and get it washed up, and let's look at it. I think the results of this are fantastic. That first engraving where I did it, where it was not focused, it barely made a dent. It did not even remove the paint. That was my fault, so I did not change the setting. Initially I was going to increase the power, and I said no way, that's not necessary, because it did not burn through the paint. So 30 inches per minute, 60% power, worked extremely well, and I'm very, very happy with the results. The other thing I want to point out is that this was with the paint side up, because that was what you're actually doing, is burning through the paint, etching the glass, and that paint is there to be able to have it where the laser can see, because otherwise the laser would go directly through the glass and not do anything at all. Well, there you have it. A very simple process to be able to engrave on the glass using the 20-watt diode laser. And people say it can't be done. Yeah. So to recap the steps, clean the glass. Get that glass as clean as you can. Use tempera paint. It's cheap. You don't need to have it sprayed. And then use the brush, make sure that it completely covers, let it dry completely. It will dry smooth. If there's a couple of little brush marks in there, not a big deal. And then as far as the power, you don't need a lot of power. Slow that laser down to about 30 inches per minute. Keep the power at around 60%, and you'll be able to engrave it. The whole idea is it's burning away the paint, and then it's etching that glass. So it's a very easy process, and you can use this on the picture frames, any type of glass that you want to be able to do this with. And if you have the rotary roller, then you can use this same technique on glassware also. So if you liked the video today, please go ahead and hit that little like button down there, and please, while you're there, subscribe and hit the notification bell also. I'm going to be doing some more work with the glass and being able to engrave on that. And I'm also going to do some with the acrylic. It's a little different technique, but it's still pretty darn easy. So until next time, I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in the shop on whatever project that I'm working on. Thanks for watching.